Now that the year is coming to a close, I'm starting to get requests for teachers wanting to put together movies for the families, which I think is awesome. So iMovie is the program built into the Mac that can do it well. It may not be installed on your Mac. So if you go to your Launchpad or your applications and you don't see iMovie, you can go to the self-service app, find it in here. They're listed alphabetically, and you would click on install. Be aware that you're going to need to go make a cup of coffee or something while you're waiting for it to install. It's a pretty big program. Depending on your internet speed, it could take a little bit to install. So if I open iMovie, I have two options when I go to create something new. I can create a movie or a trailer. The difference is, movie is a blank slate where you can add your own photos, videos, transitions, text, music, and go from there. Trailer is a pre-made template where you literally plug in the pictures, change out the text, and it does the heavy lifting. We're going to start in this video with iMovie. So as you would tell children, the very first thing you want to do before you start iMovie is script a plan for yourself. Have the photos that you want, an idea of what type of music you might want. If you're creating some kind of digital story, have everything in order. What I did was I just took pictures from my phone and airdropped them over to my computer. And if you're not sure how to do that, I have a video for that. What I have found to be easiest, even though you can put pictures and photos on your Mac, I keep them in a folder on my desktop. So I have my pictures, I have a rough plan. One thing I want to show you is if you come in at the very beginning and go to iMovie Preferences, by default, every photo that comes in gets the Ken Burns effect, and that's that zoom feature. Some of those work well and some of them chop off people's heads and such. So I usually start with fit because if I want to use Ken Burns effect, I'll do that during my edits. And by default, your photos go in for 4 seconds. So if you want them to be shorter or longer, so if you're using 30 photos, you probably don't want them all on for 4 seconds. Also keep in mind, folks can pause the video and then you can set your transition time. So if you do that before you put anything in here, that makes life a whole lot easier. With the way iMovie is set up. It looks daunting at first, but this is your timeline. So this is where you're going to be dragging your video and photo clips to become part of the movie. Up here are a bunch of editing tools that kick into play when you have content down here. You have a My Media tab, you have an audio tab, so if you had music, you could bring it in here, but I'll show you some shortcuts for that in another video. Titles allows you to drag these on top of your slides or in front of your slides and type text. And there's a whole bunch of options. Backgrounds you can place anywhere as well. So maybe you want to start with the curtain opening. You could literally drag this down into your timeline. And transitions are the things that happen between clips. And do not panic if you get to the beach ball of doom. There we go, because it's loading something for me. It's also probably worth noting that your Mac can do a lot of things and a lot of things well, but iMovie requires a lot of resources. So if you look and you have an internet browser open with 30 tabs and you've been working in Word and Excel and all of these different programs, you'll want to come down to your dock, press and hold and quit your applications and save whatever you need to just to free up some working space here. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to drag my content in. So I actually am not concerned about order right now, but you might be. And you can drag these things one at a time and place them where you want them. In here, I have JPEGs, which are photos, and movie clips all combined together. So I can select all of these by holding the first item, the last item, I'm holding Shift down. So I click the first one, hold Shift, click the last one. I can drag them all in. This works it works very well if there's not a specific order to what you're putting in here. Okay, and this has no academic purpose. These are our mini Holsteins that just arrived that pasture with us this time of year. So if I'm wanting to move things around, so I've popped them in here, I can select individual items and rearrange them. So I'll just move a few things. The order is not super important for what I'm doing here. Just kind of move things around. See how the yellow box goes around what I'm working with? That's so I can select that particular picture. And let's say this picture is on for 4 seconds, but I want it on longer. If I come between the pictures and drag, notice in the left it's giving me a number of seconds it's showing. So if I want something on shorter or longer, I could do that. But again, I would go into your preferences before you even start. If you're doing something that has like 35 or more photos, and set your timer there, because you don't want to have to adjust these all individually after the fact. Okay, so I put my media in, I get it in the positions that I want it. If I want to add transitions, think of PowerPoint when you go from one slide to the next. That's what a transition does. So if I hit my space bar, it'll play the transition. Sometimes they're busy and they're too much, and sometimes it's just exactly what you need. What I would suggest, though, is just like I would with PowerPoint, pick 1 or 2 transitions and stick with it, or don't feel like you have to at all. If I want to get rid of that, I select it and I hit the delete key. So I have my pictures in order, and then to an iMovie could be a little tricky. So we're going to talk through a few different things. We all love to use popular music and put to our slideshows, but did you realize we're probably violating copyright? Whether or not that's a big deal to you, we won't get into that. We could spend hours debating free use and copyright and Creative Commons and all of that jazz. Generally speaking, when I create something that I know I'm sharing out there, I do not use copyrighted music. I found this website, this Incompetech Music. I created a free account and it lets me search for all different genres of music. And you can play it to preview it, and then if you like it, you click on download and you can choose the free license. Here's the only caveat: you have to copy this, because in order to use it for free, you have to say and give credit where credit is due, which is what we really should be doing. We should be encouraging our students to do it as well. So whenever I use music in a slideshow, I always have the credits either linked or right in the slideshow itself. So I would copy this information and put it in a note so I could use it later. So I would do that and agree to the terms. And in a moment, the download will start. And it will download to my computer. One note about using popular music: it puts us in a tricky situation. In the past, students and teachers have created some really cool things, and we put them on social media, and I guarantee you within 10 minutes, if it's got copyrighted music, we get flagged. Thankfully, we've yet to be fined. When that happens, we'll have to reevaluate how we're doing things, but I strongly encourage you to use copyright-friendly music. All right, so that downloaded to my desktop. It's right here. It's an MP3 file. I downloaded another one earlier. The cool part is you just drag this in. I'll slide it up here, and you'll see this is 6.1 minutes long. And look at that, it actually fits. I can drag additional music here, and I have the ability to click and drag that little dot, and what that's going to do is fade my music out automatically for me. So that's how you add music. The one thing we didn't talk about is how to edit a clip. So if I look at this clip and maybe there's something in here I don't want, or let's go to this one. You won't be able to hear this because I have earbuds in, but there's a video clip somewhere that has my family talking through the whole thing, and I don't want that. This one. Okay. I can do a right click, which is a 2-finger tap on my trackpad, and I can detach the audio from it. And that would be the family speaking. I'm going to come off and click this and delete it. And what that does is it mutes this clip, so all you hear is the music underneath it. I also have the ability, so I can split and detach the audio and delete it if I choose to. And let's say there's a mistake somewhere along here. If there was a clip that was too long and I wanted to split it for whatever reason, I get the playhead right where I want it and I do a 2-finger tap or a right click and I split the clip. So it cuts it in half. So let's say there was a section here I didn't want. I could come here and maybe it ends like right about there. I can do split the clip again, and what it'll do is it'll parcel it, and I can just select the piece I don't want and hit delete. Now let's say I didn't mean to do that. Command Z will undo the last few steps, so it puts it together. So the right click will split the clip. Okay, so I have music, I'll have added transitions. There are a lot of editing features up here that we'll get to in the next. Look at some of the editing features. So if I select a photo, there are things up here. This is my magic wand. It can automatically enhance the quality. Or I can do some color balancing and color correction, which I'll be 100% honest with you, I've never played with. I have used the cropping. So for example, if I select crop, all of my photos and videos are set to fit, but I could crop it if I only wanted one section to show up. I could do the Ken Burns effect where I zoom, it starts in one spot and ends in another. I can rotate my picture or reset it so I don't make people dizzy. The stabilization of video, the volume of the video, noise reduction. You can speed it up or slow it down. You can add filters. So there are a lot of different things you can do. If you love filters and you love annotating things, take a look at Apple Clips for the iPhone and the iPad. It does a much better job. Like think Instagram meets Snapchat. It's really kind of cool. So I can play with those tools. I can do voiceovers, which I've done in other videos. So if there was a photo I wanted to voice over, I could click here, hit record. Let me get the playhead right where I want it. And it just counted down 3, 2, 1 in my earbuds. So now I'm recording audio. While I'm here, notice too, I can drag the volume of the audio tracks by grabbing that center line. So if I wanted that to stand out over, and there are so many ways you can tweak this, I'm just keeping it really simple because you can add fade points all along here and adjust the volume. I'm not going to keep that, so I can click it and hit my delete key. But let's say I get all of my editing done, then I want to hit my Share button, go to File, give it a name, pick the resolution, say Next. I save everything to my desktop so I can find it easier, because from there you could put it in Google Drive and make it shareable, put it in a YouTube channel and make it shareable. The one thing I didn't do here was put in a slide with the attribution for the music. So what I would do is I would make sure in whatever post I'm sharing I have that information. I hit save. It takes some time to process. When it's finished, it will land here as an MP4. I can put it in Google Drive. I could put it in a Google photo album. Lots of different sharing choices.